Hi guys, welcome. We are Blended Thoughts, and Valeria and I decided to do this podcast because, along with our friends, all the time, I feel like a lot of people can relate to us. Mm-hmm. We are both immigrants that came at a young age to this country, and we've experienced so much, and I feel like so many people can learn from our mistakes and our successes as well. So we wanted to create this podcast.
Yeah, so welcome. We're very excited. We've been talking about this for a long time. Finally, we're doing it. It's not perfect, but
it's real.
It's working.
It's real. Yeah.
Right.
And Blended Thoughts, we decided on this name because it's literally who we are. We're both immigrants from Latin countries, and we've become blended in this society, and our thoughts are blended. When you're like, okay, I'm very Latin, but I'm very Americanized, so we thought Blended Thoughts was appropriate. Mm-hmm. So we hope you guys enjoy our podcast and share it with your friends, and hopefully you relate to it, you cry with us, you laugh with us, and we'll be uploading.
Just have a good time with us.
Yes. We'll be uploading every Tuesday morning. So.
Yes, every Tuesday you'll be able to find it on Spotify, Apple, and we're going to be on YouTube as well, so you can see us, not only hear us, so make sure to check it out.
And our social media, which is our Facebook and Instagram, which is also Blended Thoughts. So today we thought we would talk a little bit about who we are, our initial thoughts into this country and our initial shocks, and then go from there.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Mexico. I moved here when I was 15. I always say 15, but I don't know if that's actually how old I was. I think it was.
So did you have a quince? Time out. I'm totally squirrel.
I didn't want to have a quinceañera, but my birthday was before moving to the U.S., so I actually had my 15th in Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had like a surprise party.
Okay.
But yeah. No quinceañera for me. Anyways, I moved to the U.S. when I was 15. I moved to Georgia, Cumming, Georgia. So,
wow. Small town?
That was, it was, a small town. Very different. I remember, on the way to the house from the airport, it was, green, trees and, grass, and that's something that I was not used to because I'm from a city. I'm from Puebla, Mexico.
Is that a big city?
Which is a big city, yes. Not as big as Mexico City, but it's big and it's getting bigger, you know. It's been a while since I've been there, but last time I went, it was, so different. So different from the first time that I left.
So different from Georgia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And how about you?
Well, I was born in Cuba, and I left when I was 7, and I moved to South Dakota. So it doesn't get more white than that. And we moved in the middle of winter time, November 21st. So mine was definitely culture shock, to say the least. But you didn't end up in Georgia, right? When you moved from Mexico to Georgia, did you leave Georgia to go somewhere else, or did you stay there?
No, I moved. I spent in Georgia 2 years, I think it was, and then I had to move to Connecticut, and then from Connecticut, I decided to move to Florida.
Right, but as an adult?
Yes.
Okay. So how was the transition from Georgia to Connecticut? So did you learn English in Georgia?
Yes and no. In Georgia, I had a lot of Hispanic friends. There's a big Hispanic community there, which was great because, I was able to talk to people and to make friends because to arrive and not speak in English and you feel very uncomfortable and I'm a little shy, so I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody because I don't know if they can understand me. I don't know if I'm saying things correctly, and you're no. And then having this other Hispanics that you can talk to and be friends to, and that they can guide you because they've been there maybe for longer than you have.
Were they mainly Mexican?
They were Mexicans. There were some from Guatemala and some other South America. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then how old were you when you went to Connecticut?
For my senior year.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's a tough year because everybody has their friends and their cliques.
Yeah, I know. It was my last year of high school, so I had to kind of start over.
Oof.
And then to the town that I moved in, it was a very small town, smaller than Cumming, Georgia. It's called Granby, Connecticut.
Okay.
So there, I was like the only Hispanic. So that was very shocking for me, you know, to
Yeah.
have to interact now with like Americans
And your
like
senior
try to,
year?
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah,
Did you go to college in
I did.
Connecticut? Same town?
No, I went to Central Connecticut. It's in a different town, but you can drive there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was close to
Okay.
home. So
Well, for me, I had no Hispanics in South Dakota. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. It was so interesting. So like ESOL, which
Yeah.
is English as a second language.
Yeah.
Which is how you learn English. My ESOL class.
yeah, but like for the ones that don't know, it's like a specific class that schools offer for
Yes.
Immigrants that don't speak the language.
Right, they teach you English.
Yeah.
And generally here, like the entire class is Hispanic. So you can like talk to other people.
Yeah.
My ESOL class, there were no Hispanics. It was me, a Russian person, a kid from Sudan, a kid
Yeah.
from Croatia. So it was like none of us could even talk to each other because we didn't even speak each other's languages. So
Yeah.
we would just like stare at each other. So it made me learn English really quickly. I learned English in 6 months because I had to.
Yeah.
Like, I had no choice.
I mean, for me, it took longer because I was
Right.
speaking Spanish, and then
Right.
it was until I moved to Connecticut that I had to speak it
Right.
all the time. you
It's
know?
like Cubans that move to Miami. They
Exactly.
they never have to learn English because you don't
Exactly.
have to. I'm kind of
Yeah.
glad I was forced into that, but I
Yeah.
learned English really quickly. So, what are some like culture shocks when you first got to school?
Yeah, I was actually gonna talk about that because it's cultural shocking. Not only to come to the U.S. You
Right.
meet people from other countries
Right.
like South America, like Russia,
Yeah.
like different countries, Asia, and it's just you get introduced to so many things that you weren't aware,
Diversity.
and then it's diversity, and it makes you, I feel like, more welcoming of
Yeah.
others and like what other people think, and you know their culture.
Totally.
Yeah, so I loved it.
Well, it's funny. The house that we moved to, so we were political refugees. We were sponsored by the Lutheran Church because everybody's like, why the heck did you go to South Dakota? We didn't have a choice. So if we wanted to leave Cuba, that's where you went. And the Lutheran Church in South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, sponsored us. And they had like a church house where they would host and allow the immigrants that they would sponsor to live, which I'm so thankful for
Wow.
them because without them, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But the family that lived there before me, they were from Croatia. Hi, Nina. And she became my best friend. One of my best friends in South Dakota.
But wait, she spoke Spanish?
No, she's from she was from Croatia, let's say. I
Okay.
mean, Yugoslavia back in the day, but they were
Okay.
separated because of war. Anyways, she was from Banja Luka. And we couldn't really talk to each other because we didn't know each other's languages. But my parents and her parents became great friends, and they couldn't really talk to each other.
Yeah.
But
That's the beauty of
I
it, you
know.
know?
You figure it out. Like
Yeah.
when you're in a pickle, you were like pointing
Yeah.
and you figure it out. Like your human instincts kicked
Yeah,
in.
and there's also like people that are welcoming and willing to
Yeah.
help you. There's people that just ignore
Are
you,
not.
you know, but
Yeah.
you always find good people.
Oh, yeah. And when we first arrived, it was snowing. It was November 21st. I mean, super
Oh my
cold.
God.
And I remember the house, like getting there at night, and it was full of food, which we weren't used to in Cuba.
Wow.
Like a huge pizza and a bag of green apples.
Yeah.
And we don't have green apples in Cuba. We don't have apples in Cuba. Maybe now, but back then we didn't because
Now you know.
apples grow in the cold. It
Yeah.
doesn't get cold in Cuba. So, and my mom and my grandfather were like, why would they give us a bag of green tomatoes? Because we're like, what the heck is that? So, actually, funny thing, my first apple was in Mexico.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that
When
before.
we left
Interesting
Cuba,
story.
Acapulco,
Yeah.
at the airport, this little boy and I were like looking at this guy cutting up an apple in the airport, and we're like looking at it, and he saw us and he let us taste it. I didn't like it, but yeah, so the house was like full of food, and we're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What is all this? But what was like some culture shock for you at school?
At school, well, besides the language,
Yeah.
it was a very different system. I
And
remember,
the food.
and the food at the cafeterias, huge cafeterias with like a lot of food.
Yeah.
The schools were huge. I'm really bad with directions, so I would be like, where am I going, you know, with my little map and
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to
it was
figure out
high
my
school.
classrooms, you know, because you have to move around, and
Yeah.
then I didn't know how things worked. So that was like it took some time to adjust and to get familiar with everything. But again, there's people that would ask
help
you,
you.
like, where's your next class, and
Yeah,
they would take
that's
you,
nice.
you know. So that was another one. What else?
The food.
The food and I mean, I gained so much weight when I moved to Georgia because
Did they
just
have
had,
Mexican food in Georgia?
yeah.
They did.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I think there's a big Mexican community, so there
Yeah.
was like restaurants, but it was mainly because of the McDonald's and the Chick-fil-A
Right.
and the
Right.
Dairy Queen. And in school, I remember getting these nachos that were like so delicious, and like these chicken sandwiches.
Nachos.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
they had really good nachos, so I would get nachos, you know, and
We
like
didn't get nachos in
really
South
unhealthy
Dakota.
food. No.
No. I mean, there was a small Mexican community in South Dakota because they would go up there for construction.
Mm.
So, like, I think it's a misconception sometimes every Caucasian person thought we ate what Mexicans eat.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you eat tortillas. I'm like, I've never
And
seen a
to this
tortilla
day,
in my
that's
life.
a thing. Yeah.
I don't know. The Caribbean doesn't eat tortillas.
Yeah.
We eat rice and beans. And the food was a shock for me. I've told you this, but I hate pancakes. I hate waffles. I hate French toast to this day. And it was because the first day of school, I remember they took me for breakfast in the cafeteria. And just like the smell of like syrup
Yeah.
and like pancakes and waffles hit me. And I was like, ugh, disgusting.
God.
And to this day, I can't eat any of it. Like
I love sweets.
Ugh,
so
I just find it-
everything was like, yes.
I mean, the candy, yeah, but like the breakfast. And I remember at lunch, the corn dog. That was like so weird to me. Like
Yeah.
I saw this stick and these kids eating it. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I saw when they bit it, there was a hot dog inside. I'm like, it's a hot dog. So I literally peeled my entire corn dog and ate the hot dog.
Wow.
And I don't like corn dogs
Yeah.
to this day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of shock. And then
Yeah.
the weather.
The weather, yeah. I mean, in Georgia, not so much
Right.
because I feel like it's normal weather. It gets cold a little. But I remember it snowing maybe once and it was like
Oh, wow.
random because
Yeah.
it doesn't really snow
But
very
Connecticut
much.
gets cold.
But Connecticut was freezing. It's like a different
In your
lifestyle
bones.
that you
Cold.
have to learn, you know,
Yeah.
to drive.
Dress,
you know.
undress.
Yeah.
It takes 30
and
minutes.
then like cleaning the streets so you can take your car out of the parking,
the snow off
shoveling.
your car.
Yeah, on the parabrisas, how you
Yeah,
call it, like
the
the
windshield.
windshields.
The little
It's a process.
scratcher thing.
Yes, it's a
Yeah.
process, and then when it gets too cold, it's like too hard, and it won't melt, and you're like there waiting for
know.
it to melt.
I know.
Oh my god!
Well,
It's really
my
cold.
weather was culture shock from Cuba to South Dakota in the winter.
Yeah.
We were like, what the heck? I remember my grandfather was, I mean, hello, we're from Cuba. We're used to being out in the streets, and he like was cooped up in this house because, and that's another thing with a lot of U.S. culture, not every city, but I would say the majority, we're like in our houses all the time. There's
Yeah.
not people walking out in the streets.
No.
And that's not, and in Latin
No.
America, everybody's out in the streets.
Yeah.
And my grandfather was like, F this. And he like went outside to walk and there's black ice, which if you're not from up north, you don't know
Yeah.
what black ice is. The street looked fine and it was ice and he
Oh
fell and
my
busted his
God.
chin.
Yeah,
And he
that
had
thing is
stitches.
dangerous. Even driving, you get
Yeah,
it.
you
and-
slide.
Yeah, you slide.
And in the mornings when the bus would pick me up, my aunt and my mom would huddle with their jackets around me and we'd be like, because it was like 2, sometimes like below
Wow.
0.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was looking forward to move because it's just I get cold too easily.
Yeah.
Even in my house, it's like it has to
I
be
know.
like 78.
you won't even
for
go
me
into
to be
cold, she won't even go
comfortable.
into cold swimming pools or cold
No,
ocean. I know.
No.
But the holidays too.
Yeah.
But Mexico's a little different. You guys
Yeah.
are like more open and
Yeah, I mean, I think the only one that comes to mind is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's a little different than
right,
what we
'cause
do.
You don't have Thanksgiving.
Right, we don't have Thanksgiving. What else?
Mine was everything.
Yeah.
Santa skips Cuba.
I love the story. You have to share that story.
Oh, the Santa.
Yeah.
So since we came in November, there was actually this. I think she was from Costa Rica. I don't remember where she was from, but she was Hispanic, and she brought me a Barbie house, and it was December, so I had late December, so I had kind of already understood a little bit. Like I would see these Santa Claus pictures, and I was like, "What is that?" And then she told my mom, "Oh, this gift is from Santa for Jasenia." And my mom was like, "Can you tell that guy Santa that I said thank you for bringing my daughter a gift?" And I was like, "Mom, he's not a real person." Like, I had to break it down for her. And like that, there's many other things. And she was like, "What do you mean he's not a real person?" I'm like, "It's that fat guy with a beard. Like, he has reindeer. He's not real." Because we didn't have that back then. So it's just.
How about
it's
Halloween? Halloween was another.
Yeah, so we had been here for almost a year. And I mean, if you think about it, Halloween is a creepy, scary holiday. I love it.
Yeah.
But being in the US for less than a year, okay, imagine like going to China and having like serial killers knocking at your door. So like bloody people were like knocking at our door asking for candy. My grandma's like, "Do not open the door. I do not know what's going on." People were like out in the streets, which they never are, scary, dressed up. Like we were locked in our house because like, heck no.
Like the way I think about it, it's like back then the Mayans would do like the sacrifices, and that was part of the culture. It was normal, you know, and nobody was like freaked out about it. Now you talk about it and it's like, what the hell were these people doing?
I know.
So it's the same with Halloween and you. It's like,
and when you look like it, like Halloween a long time ago, they would put like pumpkins in their head, on their heads, real pumpkins, like scary stuff that we think is scary now. So that was it for us. But I mean, I will say, growing up, a really hard thing for me was being stuck in between cultures. Like feeling very American, but very Cuban at the same time, and not feeling like I fit in either culture. And one culture not understanding, like my mom not understanding like prom, which I was a lot older, like sleepovers. Oh my God, sleepovers. That's so American and so normal.
I used to do sleepovers in Mexico.
Oh, we
so
didn't.
I know what.
We did not. No. That's not normal. Like in Cuba, you would go to your friend's house, you can play till 11, and then you go home. And I would get invited to sleepovers, and my parents were like, "Is she a lesbian?" I'm sure they thought that. And it's just so normal. And they're like, "Heck no, you go there, you play, and you come back home." But after a while, they got, they were like, "Okay." But it's like being stuck. Like my parents, like sleepovers were so normal. And when I would explain to my parents, because my parents would be like, "I don't know, I'm going to be a mom, so I'm sure I'll feel the same. Like, what if the brother is a rapist? What if the dad is a drug dealer?" Like, these are
all the what ifs and you make up stuff that.
But they're legitimate things.
It could happen.
As a grown up, that we're like, it's true. My daughter's going over there. I don't know what their son's like. But I'm like, "But Mom, it's so normal spending the night at my friend's house for her birthday." So she was like, "No," my mom and dad. Yeah. And then my white friends being like, "What do you mean you can't come to the sleepover?" And like having to explain what they think. And then like vice versa. Like my Cuban parents didn't get it, and my white friends didn't get it, and I'm just like, stuck in the middle. Yeah. That's hard.
Like for me, I feel like, okay, in Mexico, yes, I went to sleepovers and whatever. Yeah. Then when I moved here, it was already high school, so I don't know if it's weird to have sleepovers in the high school or if it's normal. Since I didn't have American friends.
Yeah, you didn't do it.
I never got invited to one.
Aww,
and Hispanics.
I'll invite you to a sleepover.
It's alright. I mean, I had my time with my friends in Mexico, But yeah, it's just like the difference in adjusting, and like I observe a lot. Like I observe people a lot, and then I feel like you learn from watching them. But it's definitely different. I feel like I isolated myself a lot. Yeah. Because I didn't want to expose myself or like embarrass myself. Right. I don't know if I told you the story about like people telling me, "You have a cute accent." I was like, "What accent? Like, what? How do I sound like?" And I was like, "Okay," but I didn't know like the accent. And then when I heard myself, I was like, "Shit, I do have an accent," But then at first I was like, "Oh my God, how embarrassing."
But it's normal.
But then you're like, it's normal. It's part of it, And if an American wants to speak Spanish, he's gonna sound funny as well. You
know two languages. You're
I know two, and you don't. So
right. Yeah, no. For me, and you had siblings. Yeah. So was that hard with them, or was it easier because you had somebody at least to be around?
Definitely. Yeah, that was easier because she would help me, and like she would check on me. Yeah, my sister, she's older than me. We would take the bus in Mexico, my
Okay.
mom would drive us everywhere. You know, we
Really?
never took the bus, no public transportation.
Which you would think it would be the opposite. You think in Mexico you'd take the bus, and here you would drive.
I know. But in Mexico, it's a big city, and like public transportation is not the greatest, and it's
Okay.
not the safest.
Right.
You know,
Especially
and
for two
people
young
that don't
girls.
have cars have to use public transportation.
Right.
But if you're like blessed to, you know, have a car and like do it that way, it's much better.
Right.
You know, and my mom always used to drive us everywhere. I remember like driving us to school, picking us up, you
That's
know,
nice.
and taking us to like, I used to go to music lessons after school and whatever. And my mom, it's a single mom, you know, like,
Right.
and I don't know how she did it, but she used to do it. Like once we moved here, we would take the bus to school.
Yes.
And that was very different, like having to wait for the bus, you know. It was
I like taking the
which
bus.
do I take, you know? And I was like trying to figure things out.
Yeah. I like taking the bus to school. I thought
Yeah.
it was fun in South Dakota. I didn't like taking it here. I feel like people in Tampa were much more, like, they were meaner.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was another culture shock I had. Like, I lived in South Dakota from 7 to 14. And then at 14, I moved to Tampa. So I was in middle school in 7th grade. And that's, like, tough, too, because people already had their friends.
Yeah.
And I went to a very diverse middle school where Caucasian was the minority.
Okay.
Coming from my middle school was like 1,200 white kids and like 3 black kids and me and a Puerto Rican girl. That's it.
Wow.
So when I moved here, I was like, why is everybody so loud?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I was probably always loud in South Dakota, but I was the only loud one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did not enjoy my middle school here. It was just too much.
Mm.
And people made fun of me because they thought I was white.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, I never had an accent because I had to learn it so quickly and
Yeah.
young.
The youngest, like, the better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Latin girls would like talk crap about me in middle school here. And I'm like, I can understand you. I speak
Yeah.
Spanish.
People can be mean.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
middle school's mean anyways, but I
Yeah.
feel like the food in South Dakota for me, like our lunchrooms, we had so many options.
Yeah.
And here I was like,
I would always
Ew.
get the same, you know, nachos
Yeah?
or chicken sandwich. That was it.
we had options, a lot of options, but I mean, it was hard. It was hard being in between. I think that was what was one of the hardest things for me, being in between cultures.
Yeah.
Like
Adjusting, you know,
first
learning.
generation immigrants, dude, we have it hard.
Yeah.
Our parents don't understand
Oh
the
my gosh.
society we live in. Our society doesn't understand like our home
Yeah.
life. Tampa's
That-
different because we're very diverse here.
Yeah.
But-
But like, you know, that's a whole nother conversation that we need
Totally.
to have about like parents and like them not understanding and like you as the kid having to do
Being the
adult
parents'
things, you
parent,
know? Yeah.
yes, I've always
So yeah, we definitely need to
been a
talk
mom
about
since
that.
I was 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we covered a lot. I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll have more to talk about, but yeah, I mean, it's just
It's tough.
Yeah.
And we get it. And people don't talk about it enough. Like, it's really hard being
Yeah.
an immigrant.
yeah,
and
people
being a
think that, you
kid.
know, the American dream, oh, you're living in the US and everything's
In
so
your
easy
country, they
and
think
then
that,
you
yes.
have money and
The helicopters
and it's
fly
like,
and drop money.
yeah, and it's not like that,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
hard.
It's hard and then you have to adjust to a lot
Yeah.
of things. You need to leave your family behind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't talk about this, but I didn't cross the river to come here, you know?
You
I'm
didn't
a
swim?
Mexican, so I'm just
I didn't
clarifying.
swim either.
So, yeah, I came here on a visitor's visa.
Uh-huh.
And then my mom got married and my papers got worked out.
That's awesome.
But
You're
I
very
do,
lucky.
yeah, I do know people that have told me like their stories crossing
And it's
the
hard.
border, and it's like
It's no
unreal.
joke. No joke. My cousin came on a
It's-
raft.
Yeah.
Like not a boat, a raft, which is like literally a blown up tire raft, and
Yeah.
he got caught.
Wow.
He got caught in the water, and he got sent to Guantanamo Bay. And he got very lucky that he had an asthma attack. So they had to fly him to the U.S. And that's
Wow.
why he got to stay, because he touched American soil. But that's just a little bit about what we're going to talk about, our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope you guys enjoy it. And I mean, if you can relate, please tell us.
Yeah, share
So-
your comments. Tell us what you think, what you thought about this conversation. other things that maybe you would like us to talk about. And yeah, just
Any of your culture shocks, please make us feel better. from
maybe
ours.
we'll talk about them on the next podcast.
Yeah, but we hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be talking about everything under the rainbow. And we're just two Latin girls and trying to make it happen in the U.S. and being successful and just trying to be happy at the end of the day.
Yep, that's it.
Thanks for listening. We'll see
All
you
right,
next
don't
Tuesday.
forget every Tuesday and follow us on our social media.
Blended Thoughts. Peace out.
Bye bye.